July 11th, 1970, northeastern Utah. The U.S. Air Force launches an Athena V-123D missile from the Green River test site. The rocket is programmed to land 700 miles away at the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. But the missile veers hundreds of miles off course and crashes in the remote Mapimi Desert in northern Mexico. When workers arrive to clean up the crash site, they notice something very unusual.
During the cleanup process, it was noted that radio communications didn't work well, compasses didn't work right. This area is completely devoid of electromagnetic signals, meaning your cell phone won't work, you won't pick up satellite signals like GPS. It's a really odd place.
The area quickly earned the nickname La Zona del Silencio, or the Zone of Silence.
The Zone of Silence has become notorious in the last 50-odd years through the fact that many mysterious events have occurred, and the origins of this location seem to be of a cosmic nature.
The Athena rocket was just the latest object to fall from the heavens and land in the Mapimi Desert. Prior to the crash, the Zone of Silence had been bombarded by more meteor strikes than any other spot on Earth.
The Zona de Silencio was well known for the numerous meteorite impacts over and over thousands of years hitting that one spot.
Perhaps the most intriguing impact occurred in February 1969.
The year before the Athena rocket, there was a meteor crash in that Zone of Silence. It was the Allende meteor. And what that meteor brought to this planet was the element curium. We know what curium is, and it doesn't occur naturally on this planet.
Now, curium is a material that we create in nuclear reactors or in nuclear explosions, or it's created inside the nuclear fire of the sun. So it doesn't just occur randomly anywhere, and it's not a decay product. It has to be created. So the question arose then, was this meteor that impacted in Mexico created in a reactor by some advanced civilization?
Created in a reactor by an advanced civilization? Is it possible that the Allende meteorite, and perhaps others that struck the area before it, contained extraterrestrial technology? And if so, how did it get here? Some researchers believe it was sent deliberately. And as evidence, they point to numerous UFOs that have been reported in the area.
There is no question that the Zone of Silence is a very mysterious area. In the last 50-odd years, many mysterious events have occurred. People see UFOs, mysterious lights, and experience other types of paranormal activity.
In 2008, I was filming in the Zone of Silence, and the locals in the town of Kayami talked about how strange beings came up out of the ground. Whether these beings were extraterrestrials, whether these things were something else, we don't know.
Is it more than mere coincidence that in the Zone of Silence, where a high number of meteor impacts have occurred and strange electromagnetic anomalies have been recorded, there have also been reports of UFOs and otherworldly entities?
Could it be, as researchers have argued, that the impacts over and over in that area have created a whole anomalous area, and that the Zone of Silence is so magnetically and electronically potent that it's somehow attracted the ETs? And you might ask yourself, why? Do they need the magnetic energy from that spot? Maybe they are terraforming our planets for their own purposes. and we don't know why.
The idea that through meteor impacts, one could influence the development and the evolution of a planet is feasible to me. And many astronomers and bioastronomers are looking at these ideas as actual concepts in reality. And so, has this potentially happened on Earth? And the answer to that is a resounding yes.
Throughout the world, there are ancient traditions that identify the center of the head as being synonymous with the center of the Earth, the center of the universe, and the very center of creation itself. This center is often depicted as egg-shaped and is identified in some cultures as the third eye.
There are multiple cultures that point us in the same direction. The Hindus have it as the third eye, or the bindi. The Buddhists have the third eye on Buddha's forehead. We see symbology in Mesoamerica, which seems to symbolize its ability to contact and communicate with the higher spiritual realms using this secret symbol that is consistent throughout all the major world religions.
When you talk about the third eye, it's about enlightenment. It's about this connection to the great unknown or the force of the universe. We think that we are separated from the world, when in reality, we are all connected to every single object in the universe. And that inherently means that we are directly connected to every extraterrestrial being throughout the entire universe.
Is it possible that the cosmic egg isn't only a symbol for the universe or how the universe was formed, but represents a connection that exists within each and every human to the cosmos, and possibly to extraterrestrial beings that came to Earth in the distant past? Ancient astronaut theorists point out that while the third eye has historically been considered a metaphor, there is an egg-shaped structure within the brain that is critical in defining what it means to be human: the thalamus. Shaped like two identical eggs, the thalamus lies at the center of the brain and is the hub responsible for relaying information from most of the sensory receptors. Scientists studying the effects of thalamic stimulation on comatose patients have recently suggested the thalamus might be the most important factor in human consciousness.
The thalamus is like a relay station in the brain. So you have all the primary sensory information coming in, like information coming in your eyes, through your retina, and through your ears, and all these sensations. The first place they go after the primary sense organs is they get funneled to the thalamus. And then the thalamus sorts out this information and relays it to the various parts in the cortex that process that primary sensory information. If the thalamus is damaged, usually it will knock out consciousness. It's a very critical point where all the information comes to, and then it's distributed in the cortex.
The thalamus is called the lamp, the open eye, even the third eye. And when you look at this, you wonder, was it in fact a gift from extraterrestrial beings that awakened us, that enabled us to become connected to the divine or extraterrestrial realm? Perhaps the extraterrestrials that had a hand in fashioning the human body and tweaking the human brain placed the thalamus there in its egg shape as a connecting link to the greater civilization out of which we originally emerged.
Could the thalamus be the physical representation of what ancient cultures referred to as the third eye? And if so, might this brain structure act as a connection to greater forces in the universe? As incredible as this notion may seem, ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the thalamus can also be found represented in one of the most prominent symbols of ancient Egypt, the Eye of Horus.
The Eye of Horus, also known as the Eye of Ra, was a symbol of protection, royal power, and good health. But it was also known as the Eye of Providence, the all-seeing eye of God. Now, what is incredible is if you look at the thalamus and all of the structures surrounding that, it looks like the Eye of Horus. The similarity is really pretty astonishing.
According to scientists and historians, the ancient Egyptians were likely aware of the shape of these brain structures.
Well, we have to remember that the ancient people were pretty conversant with cutting animals open of all kinds. And humans were cleaved open, broken open. There would have been any number of ways for early humans to start looking at brain structure. It's clear that thinking comes from the brain, but what was the part of the thalamus for this?
How would the ancient Egyptians have known about how all of these parts of the brain function together? Is it possible that they got this knowledge from extraterrestrials?
Uinta County, Utah, located in the northeastern part of the state, is a 512-acre property known as Skinwalker Ranch, one of the most intensely studied paranormal hotspots in the world.
Skinwalker Ranch is one of the most anomalous areas on this planet. Here's what people have seen in that ranch. Strange creatures, suddenly appearing out of nowhere. UFOs. Instruments don't work. The people around the ranch set up observation posts to see what's going on. And they're the ones that are recording all kinds of strange creatures.
Astrophysicist and aerospace engineer Dr. Travis Taylor has spent nearly 20 years working on high-tech programs for the Department of Defense and NASA.
Look at this going nuts.
In 2019, he joined a research team investigating the strange phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch.
It just jumped to 18. We need to get out of here, guys. Let's get out of here.
Since that time, Dr. Taylor has come to believe that the mysterious events are connected to the unique geology of the Uinta Basin, where Skinwalker Ranch is located.
The Uinta Basin appears to be the epicenter of some really unusual phenomena, including UAP sightings, strange energy measurements, strange electric and magnetic field anomalies, and even other anomalies that look like something out of a science fiction movie.
What is that solid light? It's got a black dot in the center of it. What?
As part of the investigation, Dr. Taylor and the research team drilled core samples of the soil in the area around Skinwalker Ranch, and what they found was unexpected.
We made an immense amount of measurements and taken an immense amount of data, and from all those measurements, what we've discovered is there seems to be an interesting mix of things underneath the ground here at Skinwalker Ranch that are the makeup elements that you would need to create computers, spacecraft, and so on. The geology looks like an ancient impact crater, and there was an impact here maybe 50 million years ago. Is it possible that this different phenomena that happened at Skinwalker Ranch is from some extraterrestrial origin, an ancient impact site, an ancient crash site? Skinwalker Ranch, it appears to be similar to Mexico, where there is a zone of silence right where there's odd phenomena being seen that could be potentially a side effect of a meteor impact.
Could it be that meteorites are responsible for the phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch and the zone of silence? Dr. Taylor believes not only that this is possible, but that the same might be true for other areas across the globe where electromagnetic anomalies are present.
There are other similar places around the world, like near Roosevelt in Utah. There's places in Iraq where this occurs. There's places in Australia where compasses and other electromagnetic phenomena occur, where we have communications that don't function properly, sort of like radio silent regions. And all these seem to be near meteor impact sites. And people that are near those, they see UFOs, they think they see entities and things like that. Maybe they do. Is it the impactor that created some kind of strange phenomena? Or it might be some other technology that we don't understand at play here. Could these impact sites be directed crashes from an ancient or an advanced extraterrestrial civilization? And that's why we see these strange phenomena.
Another facet of these impact crater sites is the materials and the energy that is left behind. And you have to wonder, well, what is the role of those materials? And is it possible that they are responsible for altering the planet for an unknown purpose?
Mali, West Africa. Here, hidden within the cliff of Bandiagara, lie hundreds of villages occupied by the Dogon people. Believed to be the descendants of the Egyptians, archaeologists say the ancient nomadic tribe settled in this region around 1000 AD. Like many other ancient cultures, the creation story of the Dogon involves a cosmic egg.
In West Africa, the Dogon creation myth is that the earliest divinity, Amma, the god of all things, took the form of an egg, and this is what unfolded to become creation. When the egg opened, it became a whirlwind and scattered its contents in all directions. This ultimately formed all of the galaxies and planets.
The Dogon say that their gods, called the Namo, came down to Earth in cosmic eggs. And when descending from the sky, they made the ground tremble.
They said specifically, these eggs, they came from out there. They came from the vastness of the dark, the vastness of the cold. Well, what a more poetic way to describe space.
The Dogon said that they originated from the star Sirius B. What's interesting about that is that we didn't even discover Sirius B until 40 years after the Dogon published originally this story, which is, of course, much more ancient. It suggests that the cosmic egg is a symbol for the craft of these extraterrestrials who the Dogon said came to Earth from Sirius and influenced their civilization.
Could the Dogon have been given knowledge of Sirius B by extraterrestrials that came to Earth in egg-shaped craft? Might the cosmic egg not only represent knowledge of how the universe was formed, but the actual vehicles primitive people witnessed descending from the sky? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest there is evidence that similar craft have even been witnessed in modern times. April 24th, 1964, 6 p.m., Socorro, New Mexico. While chasing a speeding car, Police Sergeant Lonnie Zamora hears a loud roar and sees a flame in the sky to the southwest. Thinking a local dynamite shack might have exploded, Zamora breaks off the chase to investigate.
He headed off to where he thought the explosion had come from. As he got to the site, he saw an egg-shaped object standing on a tripod leg formation with two small creatures outside of it in white overalls.
According to his account, as Zamora began to approach on foot, the creatures quickly jumped inside the egg-shaped vehicle, and it lifted off into the sky in a column of fire.
Of course, by the time backup arrived, the object had gone. But fortunately, the landing marks where the craft had come down were still visible, clearly demonstrating that something had touched to the ground and had left the ground again and took to the skies.
Within days, a team of investigators from the FBI, the Air Force, and the nearby White Sands Missile Range examined the site. As soon as the media picked up the story, more witnesses came forward with similar descriptions.
It made headlines around the world because J. Allen Hynek, who was then head of the Center for UFO Studies and had been working for the Air Force on the study of UFO investigations, he got in touch with Lonnie Zamora and arranged to come to the ground.
Dr. J. Allen Hynek, he was very much a skeptic of the UFO phenomenon and arguably in some cases even a debunker of the phenomenon. To a great degree, that changed when he looked into the Zamora case. And ironically, he ultimately swung around and became a full-on believer in the UFO phenomenon.
The incident immediately became a part of Project Blue Book, a special Air Force operation that began in 1952 to catalog and investigate the sightings of unidentified flying objects.
Although publicly, Project Blue Book downplayed the entire UFO phenomenon, and certainly the Zamora case in particular, behind the scenes something very, very different was going on. Major Hector Quintanilla, the boss of Project Blue Book at the time, prepared a secret memo for the attention of the CIA. And essentially the memo said there was no doubt that Zamora had seen something unusual, something from somewhere else had touched down on our planet.
We have a shiny metallic object in the shape of an egg. There are multiple eyewitnesses that actually say they saw this, and there are hundreds of witnesses who heard this roaring sound. We have landing traces. There's so much evidence, it's unbelievable.